You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Welcome to Minute to Skim It. I was just talking with Liam about how in the world you share from, our computers. Here's a new hint now that Facebook has changed up all of its share stuff. You can't share as your own page away from your page. You have to share as like a person, which is weird. But anyway, we learned that today. Yeah. And speaking of sharing, it's always nice for you guys to share. That's how we get new viewers. I heard from a lot of people at San Diego Comic-Con that they watch Minute to Skim It. And they found us because of the people shared. So be one of the cool kids, and share this show. The people knowing about this show doesn't mean that they're going to get to your LCS before you and grab up the cool new books. Although, I don't know, maybe we might have a little competition. And it doesn't also mean that you're, giving up space at the store proper for your own body. I'm pretty sure if you just share it out to friends that they're going to go to their own LCSs and go support them. And it's part of the joy of comic books in general, is to support the whole economy of it.
And then you keep people like me employed.
That's right. The ecosystem keeps them happy.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we've been doing this for, I think we were talking about the other day, like 7, 8 years. I don't know. I'll have to go back and actually see when we made our first broadcast. But that being said, for anybody that's brand new, we review comic books, but spoiler free. So we're not going to give you the spoilers. We may give you some main plot points. We might give you some teases. We might say things like there's the first appearance of something, but we won't tell you what it is, or the death of something, but we won't tell you what it is. But we endeavor never to wreck your Wednesday by telling you everything in a book, because what would be the fun of that? That is for cool shows like Dan Wickline's show, in which he takes apart the entirety of a show or a comic book and gets it down to its little minutia parts. That's what you do after you read a thing or watch a thing, because it gives you all of the Easter eggs, all that kind of stuff is so much fun. All right, I'm going to start somewhere weird. All right, so George R.R. Martin is famous for a little tiny set of books about dragons that no one has ever read nor cares about.
It was never a TV show ever.
Never. No one cares. No one lost their ever-loving mind when the last episode came out. It wasn't exactly what they envisioned in their brain. It hasn't been referenced by other movies like Logan Lucky. So this is stuff you may not be aware of from George R.R. Martin. This is Wild Cards, drawing of cards, which on the front of it, you might be like, looks old-fashioned-y. It's a Marvel book that doesn't have any tie-in to anything else in the Marvel universe. Maybe I'll skip it. Wrong, I say. You should not. So, for fans of old-fashioned set series like Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, or I can never remember the Sky Captain of the World Tomorrow, one of my very favorite movies. It has all of that mood and tone, or maybe the Phantom or any of those kinds of things. So this book, I believe, is based on something that's been ongoing or released a long time ago, and they're just going back to touch on it. So maybe they're like, hey, George, maybe you can get on more of those dragony things, please, if we finish up this book. So it's all about this fellow here who is named Superjet or Jet somebody, Jetman. Just think of him as like Buck Rogers. or Flash Gordon. He has successfully been a hero in a war. Just make one up. We'll say World War I. Why not? And he has a regular bad guy who's been against him, this fellow right there. So this is like post-war. There's no stress or anything. He's just trying to figure out what to do afterward. And just, you know, unbeknownst to him, there is a lot of things that's going on behind the scenes, which is definitely, obviously, going to draw him back in, even though he's like even thinking about selling his jet, which is like a cool red, like Thunderbirds looking thing, which is awesome. So anyway, give it a chance. If you are not a typical comic book superhero reader, then maybe this is a good landing place for you in Marvel, because it's not a typical superhero book.
That's good.
And it has really awesome art, and I really enjoyed the story. Despite myself, I wanted to, you know, I always pick books every week where I'm like, okay, well, maybe this one will be one where I'm like, meh. And there are some of those books out there, but it's not this one for me this week. I'm actually I don't do pull boxes myself. I just, you know, because I own a store, I just read the ones I want. But yeah, I'm definitely going to read the number 2 for this.
Ooh. Then, I actually don't know. I'll just knock this guy out then.
Do you need me to like bring in the crane for you?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a thick book. It took me like a good half hour to read, even just skimming it. So it's The Hollows. It's a one-shot from Image. And it's from the same creators as 71, 74, I think.
That's
the
right.
Same artist groups. And it's a good one-shot. I thought it was entertaining. It has like a vague post-new, like, radiation apocalypse kind of thing going on.
Okay.
The monsters in this give me heavy, like, ghouls from Fallout vibe in that, like, general aspect.
Good reference.
Yeah. It's a really good story. It's got a fairly satisfying ending. It's a little bit all over the place timeline wise, but if you're okay with that, go ahead. The art in it is so good. I love like weird ink stuff, and this definitely it works. And it's not too like in your face, and you can definitely tell who the main character is and background characters from the different art style. And we've talked about this before, whenever like the speech bubbles have different types of fonts for different characters speaking, and it does. And I appreciate that because it's a bit easier to read along and understand what's going on. So I enjoy it. If you like the series and like the one shots that Z has been putting out, I recommend picking it up. The art in it has been gorgeous. Last couple of things that I have read in that general scheme. So yeah. That is my consensus on that.
I get it. And also, just a heads up, because of the paper shortage and the way things are rolling out for release date, just be aware that there may be some books that are slated in the public to come out tomorrow at your LCS. You should check before you go on like previewsworld.com. I think that one is pretty up to date, because there were a lot of things that are like pushed back, either a little or a lot. And then there's also publications that are out there that some stores buy direct from the publisher. That certainly happens in the case of like Source Point and Scout. And in that case, your store only gets their books twice a month. So they come in one gigantic batch or two gigantic batches. So don't despair if you don't see it on your LCS's rec. Just ask them when they expect it to come in. And make sure you get on the wish list for it so that you don't miss it.
And Image was supposed to have a huge release this week, and we got like at least from what I've been following, we didn't get a lot of Image. So absolutely, if you've been following anything Image, check with your LCS, because they may have not gotten it in or gotten very few like us. So yes.
And we've seen other things start to happen. Like recently, there's been things where we'll get the number, like the A cover and the C cover for a release, and then the next week we get the B cover, and then the week after that we get the 1 in 5 variant. So it's just the way that they're rolling out. So
or we get just the A, and we ordered like the A, B, and C.
Well, those are mistake things. Those aren't really those aren't having anything to do with the paper. That's just Mistakeville.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do one where I don't know what I'm reading. So this is Young Justice Targets. So I know that this has a first appearance in it. It's a character that appears in the show, but has never appeared in the Young Justice books. I cannot remember her name. I apologize. I'm telling you that it's a lovely book. Probably not an easy place to join in if you don't know anything about Young Justice or aren't watching the show, or if DC is not your normal jam. You know, like some books are great places to jump in. And for me, this was not. For me, I needed more time with the book than what was allotted to me when you're trying to read books really quickly for a review. So the art is nice. Art looks like this. And like I said, if you're watching the show, it is perfect for you. Especially you'll recognize the character that has a first appearance for the first time in books and is a good collectible. So there you go.
Perfect. Then I'm trying to think. We just knock out basically most of this middle row. So the variants number 2, it's a Jessica Jones storyline. I read it last month too. And still continually not knowing really anything about Jessica Jones, I still generally understand what's going on, which is good.
Good sign.
Exactly, yeah. And like, I was hesitant to pick it up just because I wasn't a huge fan of the last issue that came out. If you want to go back and watch that episode, it was from like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's picking up momentum. I'm gonna honestly continue reading it. It's really not bad. It expands a little bit of background, but enough for me to generally understand the storyline. So if you're into Jessica Jones, start it, read it.
Give them the pitch for number 1.
So the pitch for number 1, Jessica Jones, somehow she gets into a fight, if I remember, and at some point she meets a alternate version of herself, or variant, and then a variant of hers, that is Captain America, bursts in and is like, I'm here too, and I'm really angry. And it's never really explained why they all like dislike this variant of Jessica, and they don't really explain it in here. They just, a variant of hers is out for blood, for the main, I guess, A cover of this variant of Jessica Jones. And then this one, it's expanding a little bit more on why they're out to get her, but like keeping it vague enough to keep you entertained. So yeah, that's essentially what happens. Like I said, me not knowing much about Jessica Jones, I can't really elaborate any further. But I enjoy it with the little bit of knowledge that I have of her. And She-Hulk is also mentioned in this, like for like 2 pages.
Makes sense for them to hang out because she's a private eye. And then Jen Waters, who is She-Hulk, is a lawyer. So it makes sense.
It works, yeah.
That's all you really need to know about her. And she's sassy and salty. Okay, full truth about this book. Is such a big book that I did not get to finish it, although I really, really wanted to because it's so awesome. The Superman Space Age is essentially it's telling the beginnings of Superman, but not in the way that you've ever seen it before. And it's the Allreds doing the art, so it looks really cool. And it has its own storyline, so it's really not. It takes place in the 60s, obviously, as it says 60s. Bring the end of the world about. But I think I made it away through a third through the book and realized there was no way that I was going to be able to finish this in time.
That is a big book.
But it's like
it is
like mostly like a trade.
Yeah.
If you're a Superman, especially like an old school looking Superman style, I recommend this book. Or if you this would be a really good gift for maybe somebody that is in your life that's an older reader that's like, I don't like these newfangled books. They're not my jam. then maybe this would be a good thing to be like, see, they're still writing for you. They're still writing
Like they still
Cool
know that
fighting.
you exist.
cool soups.
Yeah.
In suits.
Well, then that's actually a great transition into Ant-Man #1. So, like, legitimately, it's a fantastic transition because it actually, like, I don't know much about early Ant-Man, but the art style is the same as early Marvel. It is beautiful. They have an entire tribute at the end to Neil Adams. It was very sweet. I was like, oh. But it's just a classic Ant-Man. It's a little confusing why it is happening. This dude like goes back in time and meets Henry. It's either Henry or Harry. I can't remember now. Dr. Pym.
Dr. Pym.
Yeah. And acknowledges how he was the first Ant-Man and his wife was, or girlfriend, I guess, was the first Wasp, and they acknowledge that heavily. And it's like its own Ant-Man adventure, and it's adorable, and I love the art in it, mostly because I love old comic art. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And they translate it so well with the digital art style now. It is perfect. And I'm very interested to see where it's going to go.
Does it move forward into a new storyline, or does it only go backward and touch on old stories?
So, not that I'm aware of. It's a more so like isolated storyline. Like it's just focused in on like one villain that's not really a villain that I'm aware of. It's just not knowing much about early Ant-Man. It doesn't really help that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna assume it's homaging the early stuff. And at the end, it's explained that like he's trying to like kidnap Henry or something. I don't know, or Dr. Pym. And that it's good. I can't say much because it'll spoil most of it. But you can definitely tell it's early Ant-Man tech. And they also acknowledge Scott Lang at some point. He's a window washer.
Yeah.
I love it. I was waiting for it. And I was like,
window
where
washer.
is he? Yeah, he's just a window washer. And the boss was like,
right.
do better. And he's like, I guess I will.
Uh-huh.
So it's great. It is fantastic. If you are missing the old Ant-Man and you want a little bit of nostalgia, go for it. It's beautiful. I recommend it, especially if you're an Ant-Man fan.
I'm wondering for the Marvel movies, because they just kind of start, post Dr. Pym and straight into Scott Lang.
Oh, yeah.
I wondered if they were ever going to go back and, like, surely they'd have to recast it because it was only so young you go with an actor who's past any ages that character would have been when they did all the crazy wartime stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But it would be fun to go back and have them do a show that was like wartime Avengers.
I would love that. I would watch that immediately.
Old school.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you call it, but something cool. I'm trying to okay. So I'm excited about this one. All right. So Artem Nassim sent me an email a while ago about that they were doing a Kickstart for this book Elixir. And of course I backed it because I like cool things. They seem like a lovely human being. And so I've actually had it for a little while, but kept on forgetting to take it with me to do reading of so that I could actually do a real review instead of like, look, it looks pretty. So from what I can figure out about the book, this character is the main character. And you meet him when obviously he's already figured out his abilities and how to use them. So think of kind of like a military dude that like jacks himself up by jabbing himself. Most time I see him do it, he does it in his neck with his elixir. Okay. So it gives him ability. He like shoots arrows like Hawkeye. It gives him like, obviously a better like acuity for being accurate and all those kinds of things, and more power and all those kinds of things. But he encounters multiple beings, all appearing to be female. One in the center looks like an angel a little bit, but green. This one's got powers, and you got this one over here. And he's kind of always hunted down monsters to kill them. And in this one, he kind of like meets his match in one or more of those, and then also sees this really dark character who shows up. It has a very clear like evil versus good. They look a little bit like angelic creatures or demonic creatures, but that line it never really like says angels and demons, and I don't know if that's really where they're trying for. It's just they're referencing the looks of those two kinds of creatures. There's really beautiful art inside, and for a company that you may not have heard, which is called Submarine Treehouse, which what a creative name. I
love that.
You should try to hunt it down. If you can't hunt it down at an LCS, because of course it was something that was a fundraise one, you can hunt them down. I'm sure it's submarinetreehouse.com. You can grab one up for yourself if you can't get one from LCS. So
perfect.
there you go. Oh, they have a YouTube channel. Here you go. You got some news. What is their YouTube channel called?
Name.
Only have to get your books on time. Oh no. Oh, all right. We got a report for the food that Pablo was eating today. Roasting pork chops, making homemade jalapeno poppers.
Why?
Yep.
Pablo?
Elixir. So you've got it spelt right and everything, Rudolph. It is definitely Elixir.
Yes.
Elixir. They actually have a pretty good font and stuff for their thing. I often get what I call super indies or self-published, like truly self-published books. And then it was clear that they did not ask any graphic designer about their logo, because I'm telling you, some of those I can't read at all. This one actually is a good design. Oh, Submarine Treehouse is the YouTube
name
channel.
Of the publisher. That makes sense.
Because it's good for your belly. To have jalapenos, it doesn't hurt your bellies.
My stomach would disagree. I can't say anything. I'm lactose intolerant too. So it's fine. I've worked through it since 2018. So Sulfur Wells. Fantastic transition. It's really good. I think it was it's a number one. Let me actually.
It's like a new company to me. I don't know that company.
I don't actually recognize this publisher, nor did I recognize. Okay, so I gotta look back. So the story in this, I'm assuming, takes place in like modern day and then translates into the future. It doesn't really specify. But there is a map in this at the end.
Anything.
I know. There's a map in this that directly references like cities that I've heard of in Texas. Like there isn't much story. It's just the art is gorgeous. Just trying to remember what happened.
It's not much story. You, to tell the truth, you forgot what you read.
I did, yeah. We've both been very tired. You've been recovering from cons. I'm just tired. But like it follows this dude who voluntarily becomes homeless. It's just there's not much, like it was entertaining to read, but there's not much story going on. That's the problem.
So you're saying that they just the big tease.
Yeah, basically. It's a number one. I mean, it's a number one.
So what genre? Horror, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic. Don't open it up again. You just opened it 3 times. Cliff notes.
Yeah, it's. I don't really know, because it at some point it like takes you back to like in the 1800s, and then it dumps you. It's like all over the place timeline wise. Okay. Yeah, so like it at like halfway through the book, it takes place in the Wild West. At the beginning, it starts in like the early 1900s and then moves to World War II era.
Wait,
and
I
then,
like these kind of things where they jump through time.
Yeah, like it's not a bad jump through time. It's just it's a lot, and I don't remember when the main storyline takes place. That's the problem.
It's probably not clear when the main storyline is.
Yeah,
if it does it that way.
Yeah, it looks like main in like present time, but I don't really know.
Hard for me to decide what's good. Like there's so many good books this week that I've almost gone from like, well, I don't usually pick what things I like the least first, but I definitely choose the one book I like the most to do last. So something is killing the children number 25. Things are coming to a head for Erica. She's finding herself kind of at odds with her own organization, the Order of St. George.
Mm-hmm.
There is a new kind of creature, because remember, she is a monster hunter from a secret society in which the society has lots of different, we'll call them houses. They all wear different kind of colors of their bandanas. She's from black, obviously. There's white, there's red, some other colors, blue, I think. There's a bunch of colors for something that's killing. So the creature that had been killing children that you met in the very beginning of the issues is not the one that's currently going down.
Oh.
This one's really like kind of humanoid, but also like his main part of his body opens up and has teeth in it, and it's the stuff of nightmares. I'm telling you right now.
I love it.
You remember that adults definitely can't see these creatures. Hence the something is killing the children. They don't know what. The hunters, which Eric's one of them, can. And then in this book, right where they are in this part of the series, there is a young person who she's met that actually can see them. Like some kind of weird thing has happened, or maybe that she just has abilities. Maybe she's secretly part of one of these family lines and doesn't know it, because it's really part of families that are part of the Order of St. George. And there's this other character that's been part of the series for a little while that has it out for Erica and wants to kill her. And I like her because she's a redhead. I'm thinking about how I can cosplay her all the time. Her hair's short, so it makes me mad because I have to cut it or put it up somehow. But all that stuff comes to a head in this issue. Somebody in the kind of main or sub character group does die in this issue, so it is an actual death, and it's pretty gruesome. The whole series is House Space Cadets. That's right. What color would my bandana be? I have no idea. What would I pick?
That is a tie-dye.
Reds can steal your soul. I don't know about that.
I wasn't born with a soul. I don't know what you're talking about.
And if you guys like variants, there's a bunch of variants for this issue, of course, because it's an important issue. But also know there were some killer variants that were released at San Diego Comic-Con, most of which are impossible, I tell you, to get. So just if you're a hunter and you like to hunt things, you can go and hunt some of those down. They're available at a boom booth, and the boom booth did it differently this year than they ever did before. You had to like come to the booth and mark off one of their little sheets, kind of like if you're ordering sushi, and then get in a really long line.
Oh, that's actually really cool. I wish more cons did that.
Yeah, it was actually better than, like, they usually do like a big like they have a center building almost that they build, and they have tables all the way around it. Yeah. You just have to walk all the way around all of the sides to look at all the different stuff they've got, and usually they have the creators there.
Yeah,
but it was a little more low key this year. I like the low keyness, and plus it was also, they also told me they did it because they didn't want to have people feel like everyone had touched all the stuff that was out there. So no one touched any of your stuff except for the staff that was behind the scenes. So.
That's smart. That's really smart. I appreciate that.
Love you, Boom. You're the coolest.
I actually didn't read any Boom this week. I just realized that. That's so off for me.
You claim all variants.
All of them. So the Macabre Motel.
I think you did already, Twyla.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
The Macabre Motel.
It was so good. It's from Comic Experience Publishing, which I don't read a lot of their stuff, but what I have read, I have enjoyed, which is the same thing with this. You didn't know, I enjoy the macabre and strange. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah, you and most of the staff.
Yeah, we're all so strange. And so, it's really, really good. The art and it is beautiful. It's a very like pocket dimension kind of thing. The end is a really good twist. I was not expecting it, but it was hinting heavily at it. And there's the Harbinger character of just like, you shouldn't go there kind of person. Just like, no, I'm going to do this anyways. And like uncomfortably friendly staff. Like, so the only Halloween I've seen is Season of the Witch. I will get, that is, I'm going to get a lot of hate for that.
But hate for something you haven't watched it yet.
Because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it at all.
Oh, okay.
So people don't consider it a Halloween movie, like a Halloween series movie. They just consider it a movie that happens to be part of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And that energy definitely translates to this. And I loved it so much. And like all of the art in it is beautiful. I loved it. It was just, I recommend it if you like the strange and unusual. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, Comics Experience Publishing has made a bunch of really good books. I wish they had more like fans or followers or buyers or something, because I don't see them getting picked up off our racks the way I think that they should be. So you might try a title or two you saw at your LCS.
Because most of what I've read from them, it's all been like beautiful artwork. I've loved the storylines, even if it's a one shot. I've been loving it. So definitely pick up this publisher because you're missing out. Mm-hmm. It's really good.
If I've never made it clear before, there is no publisher that pays us a dime for our reviews. So This is really our opinion about stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, if any publisher wants to pay me any dimes, I'm open for dimes.
If you want to sponsor us.
Just kidding. I don't really want to have. Want to become famous? No. I don't. Don't you know who I am, robot from Twitch? Okay, sorry. Twitch is bots that sometimes show up and say, don't you want to be internet famous? Like, oh,
I already am on TikTok.
Just want my friends to hang out with me and talk about comics. I don't want bizarre people follow me. No bots. Kaiju Score, still from the gods. Remember, this is the second series from Kaiju, from Aftershock for Kaiju Score. They have gotten to the part of the heist where they have actually managed to get the gold or whatever they were after. But the problem is they have a part of the heist. They have awoken like a king kaiju. Okay, so major giant kaiju. And they figured out, and what they tell you in this book is that the only way to now save everybody from this kaiju that they've accidentally awoken, or on purpose for the heist, is to awaken another.
Oh, of course.
Whose sole purpose is to battle this other one. Can't get rid of Twitch bots. All right. Thanks, Twitch bots. We're just going to call Gyardo our new best friend. We love you, Gyardo. No, we don't want to be famous. Okay. So Kaiju Score is awesome. You should definitely pick up both parts of the series. In the first series, there's a double cross. It's supposed to be a straightforward heist, right? It's a heist book that takes place with kaiju. So they make a plan to do a heist while kaiju fight in the city. So they're just trying. They have to wait for kaiju to show up and be battling in the part of the city where the safe is they want to heist from. So they have to wait and wait and wait. And then not all of them that are in the heist group have met each other or worked together before. Mm-hmm. And that is where the big twist takes place for that series. So just like, I encourage you to, if you like the kaiju, you'll love this book.
Well, then not sure about it. Then I'll go to Book of Shadows.
Super jealous. You told me you had it in your hands already, and I was like, ugh.
I don't know much about like the Valiant like hero series, which seems like a sin because I'm friends with Jenna. Jenna, is one of our employees. You've seen, if you've checked in on some of the live shows since Jenna's been out of town, you would know her. And she loved Valiant. Like when I was still a customer here, even before I even thought of working here, she was like, read it. And I was like, oh, okay.
She does across pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
You must read the Valiant.
She pushed Bloodshot at me like a year ago when I was still a customer, and I was like, I'll check it out sometime. And now that I work here, I've seen her bookcase at home. It's a lot.
Mhm.
And knowing the basis of the characters in the Valiant series helped. But I feel like if I read it and I understood it more, and knew the characters, I would have loved it. I thought it was very entertaining, even knowing the basis. And they give you like a general like idea of the characters, even if you haven't read it and you're just jumping into Valiant here, like me. And it gave me a chuckle a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie, it was a very entertaining book. I'm excited to see where they're gonna go with it.
Did they mention the Book of Death, which is another big gigantic series that they did?
So
the event series.
They make a reference to it about halfway in, whenever they're introducing a character that was part of the Book of Death series.
Okay.
So they obviously reference it, and they make heavy homages to it, and heavy references closer to the end. And there's a completely side plot that ended up being intertwined.
Punk Mambo is the boss.
Exactly. But it's fantastic. I'm definitely going to read more of it. I just need to understand a bit more of Shadow Man because he's the heavy front runner in this, that's for sure.
I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown just so you can have an idea about what the character is like. So
Yes.
Shadow Man is that character comes from the dead side. Heavy New Orleans influence and voodoo influence. He has a Loa and is very powerful on the dark side. Punk Mambo is kind of the same, dark. This is the Geomancer. I am not 100% sure who this character is.
She is a voodoo priestess.
Oh, she's the voodoo priestess. Because I was
Yes.
going to say, this is definitely not the other character.
I don't remember
that
what her
know looks a lot like
character is, but she is a voodoo priestess.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of the dark side of Valiant, which is neat. It has its own draw of power that's unlike the main part of the Valiant universe.
And at the end, they actually show you some of the concept art before they actually sent it into the editors. Just the basis of like what the artist was making, and just it was gorgeous seeing the raw material translated into what we're seeing now. It was equally gorgeous. I was very happy when I saw that. I was like, I wish they did that more, if I'm being honest.
Pablo, to answer your question, Valiant from before and Valiant now are the exact same universe. They have not changed or overwritten anything. Valiant as a company made a decision a long time ago that whatever they did stuck. So when characters die, they really are dead.
So
and
not
never
retconning.
coming back. So
no retcons here.
no retcon. Now, that being said, the art for the Valiant that's been from Dinesh's owner and forward is another gigantic level up. So the early Valiant stuff, they were good artists, but you can tell a big difference. If you want to see a giant difference, even in the last like 5 years, go and look at the Exo Man of War art from Lemire's run, which is my favorite run of all time. And then look at the art that they're putting out from Liam Sharp, who also did Stonehenge, who is doing the Exo Man of War art that is for the series that is coming. And your mind will explode. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's next level gorgeous. Persephone. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Next.
Ooh.
Another one of those books I actually told Liam, I said, I'll take the hit on this one because I don't know anything about Kaiden. And this Ninja Kaiden is one of those books that, like, yes, it draws on the original Kaiden storyline stuff. It references, this is the son of the original. And this is actually a really, really well-written storyline that actually makes you care about the character and why he's stepping into this role and what the difficulties are of the suit. It's done by Eric Palicki, who you know from his other work. Why is my brain stopping for his thing? He did a really awesome series from Scout. Atlantis is in the title. Atlantis is not for tourists, I think.
Atlantis wasn't built for tourists.
For tourists. It's just been long enough since I've read that series, and it has a long title.
He also has Blacksmith at Vault.
No. That's Ahoy, I think.
No. It's neither. We're both wrong. I'll find out and I'll let you.
It's some other A-named company. Well, Black Box is just going to pop up.
Oh, okay.
Yay,
Cool.
Black Box. We love you. By the way,
Hi.
I was giving you a glowing review for this because it's not normally my kind of thing because I got suckered in by Boom when they started the Shattered Grid storyline with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But before that, all I did was basically read or watch the live action series. But this one really is next level beautiful. And really the storyline, which I cannot share too much with you without messing up. It was Ahoy. I get the points. You should absolutely pick this up. This comes with a Miss Gen 100% money back guarantee. If you pick it up from your LCS and it's no good and you don't like it, send it to me and I'll buy it from you. Because I think I underbought them. So, as you do.
Well, then I'll have to definitely check it out. Because I was looking at it and I was like, maybe.
Thank you, Black Box.
Yes. I've been loving everything you guys have been putting out. It's been great. Then I think no, I have not. The Wrong Earth, the meat. It's a one shot from Ahoy. I didn't realize what I was saying. But here we are. It's really good. The cover doesn't give it any justice. It doesn't do any justice. I loved it. I thought it was great. And our producers behind the scenes said otherwise before we started this. I thought it was great. The main villain, his entire thing is making references to meat the entire time. It's so many references. Like his entire team are even called cutlets. Like it's so. I loved it. I thought it was funny. Apparently Dragonfly Man is a consistent character within Ahoy Comics. I didn't know this until before the show started. And there's a death faked in this. There's no actual deaths.
No, you're saying the producers, but you mean Kyle.
Yes. Yes.
Because Jay likes everything like I like everything.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was really funny. I chuckled at some points. And it was fantastic. It was giving me like heavy like Batman and Robin vibes, but a bit more anti-hero for the comedy. Always. I will never not. But throw a little bit of cynicism in there and you got a perfect hero sidekick duo. It's perfect. I thought it was funny. It was a perfect amount of cynicism that worked out perfectly for what I enjoy. And just the meat references. I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't know. I will never not be a carnivore.
Talking about way too much meat out here. Sorry, vegans and vegetarians.
Yeah, I mean, it takes place in a slaughterhouse. So, you're vegan and vegetarian, and you support and you want to like burn down slaughterhouses. Don't recommend this. So,
Pablo's fact-finding mission here. There's a butcher down the street in Puerto Rico. He says called Mr. Meat.
That
perfect name.
Sounds like a man who commits cannibalism. That sounds really bad.
And we did get a message also a little bit before from Black Box saying that the B cover for the Ninja Kaiden was a really pretty cover by Friends. So you should hunt that down as well.
I love that. But yeah, no, meat. It's meat. I loved it. It was great. It was quirky in its own right.
I don't think there was a meat theme this week. We always try to find what the theme is for the comic books because there usually is something.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I was so happy to be able to read Claremont again because Claremont is the reason I'm in comic books. He wrote the runs of X-Men that drew me in and kept me around in the 90s.
Oh.
So this is Gambit #1. Written by Claremont, and it has some really awesome art. This cover is by Will Portasio. But what's interesting about it is you've got Raimi is like truly his thief self, but the Storm character here is young, and he has taken her under his wing to train her as a thief. She has all the same powers the Storm would have, the ability to shock and use the weather and all those kinds of things. And so it's a kind of an interesting thing to see that kind of dynamic between them. And there's somebody that is also interested in, I think, her that shows up. So Gambit is a really good read. I know that you guys love the Gambit.
I had like 3 people call up last week asking for it, and I was like, I don't even think that's out yet. I haven't heard or seen that come through the store. And then I told them about this, and they're like, oh.
Yeah. As I said, dates are all wonky.
Oh, yeah. Then I'm just going to knock out Harley Quinn.
Okay.
It's Harley Quinn.
That's all you're going to say.
It's
just Harley Quinn.
So I guess it was like a mini storyline going on with Verdict. Because it says Verdict Part 5. And I was like, oh, I guess this is a continuing storyline. But it's got the Harley antics in it. If you like Harley Quinn, get it. My roommate will be bringing it at home at some point.
So what's the deal?
So apparently,
who's she against?
So she's up against this hero or villain, I guess. Verdict. And the major plot point, I guess, in the book is Verdict is blowing up a building, a city hall. They're blowing up City Hall, and I guess Harley's boyfriend in this has a history with Verdict, them dating or something at some point. It doesn't really get explained, but I was like,
anyone that Harley hasn't dated, really?
You're not wrong. Honestly,
everyone always thinks about her being loyal and obsessed with Joker, but she really is not.
No, like after she left Joker, she was like, I guess I'm okay. I'm better now. Her and Poison Ivy are a perfect couple, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Poison Ivy keeps her, no pun intended, grounded. And I think ever since she left Joker, with like most of what I've been seeing with her, she is gone. She's a lot better off. So yeah, it takes place at like the beginning. It takes place at a boxing match, and she falls unconscious. And then at the end, it's a good redemption story and a good like, okay, it's not just a Harley story, but it's Harley and it's a story.
I like the art style for this.
Oh, it's
run.
beautiful. Yeah.
Nothing against Amanda Connor, because I was obsessed with her run.
I thought it was adorable.
This is really different.
Oh yeah. Like it's an adorable art style. I love it so much.
It's like Besh adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
I would say. Okay, so many things for me to still review. I apologize. Amazing Spider-Man is actually issue number 6, which seems like it's just run of the mill, but it's legacy number 900. So they've done something super special and made you a huge, thick book.
It looks like a trade.
Like I said, like a trade. And its little subtitle is The Sinister Seven.
Oh.
So this one deals heavily with the Adaptoid. I hope I've got that name right. Who's a character, I guess, that can adapt and look like and do what other characters can. But in this case, he literally adapts for 6 of the Sinister Seven and takes them on and can use all of their powers. So it's kind of like a brand new character. Adaptoid Max, or who knows? I think they've given him a name, honestly, but hopefully it's Sinister Adaptoid or some such. But it's really good. I don't want to ruin anything for you in this series. It's really long. It's right in the middle of the storyline that's already happening, so it doesn't take a hard left turn or anything for you. The Adaptoid is cousin to the Noid. No. No.
That's such a very specific reference.
Yeah. My favorite part of this book, honestly, is that the first person I think that gets kind of like taken in by the Adaptoid has got to be Doc Ock, because Doc Ock's arms, like his just like the little thing that goes around his waist and the arms, comes up to Spidey and it's like trying to tell him something's wrong, but he does it like it's a dog. You know, like,
That's so strange.
what's up, boy? Take me to him. It's really cute.
I love that. It's so strange, though.
And Pete also shows up early for his own surprise party before
Aw.
J. Jonah Jameson does in this one. So he ruins everything just like Peter always does.
Well, then, I guess I will knock out my last one.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce this. I couldn't tell if it was
It's Genis-Vell.
Genis. Okay, I was calling it Genus.
Sure, we'll do that too.
Yeah. So Genis-Vell. It's really funny. I chuckled.
Your comment about every book is I chuckle.
That's always a good thing because if I'm just sitting there numbly, because I listen to I go through and catch up on my YouTube whenever I'm reading my books.
I chortled.
Yeah. So if I chuckle and I'm not chuckling at my video, that says a lot. Or if I'm actually acknowledging the book and I'm not just having the YouTube on the background, it's perfect.
Yeah.
They make a joke about how to pronounce his shortened version. Would it be Jen? Would it be Jean? And just no, that's it. That's not it. That sounds like a girl's name. That's not it.
Their name is
Yeah.
short.
And it's not knowing much about Captain Marvel and not knowing that is her son. Didn't realize that they explained that in the first page, so that's not even a spoiler. I thought it was funny. I
wasn't expecting funny out of it.
It's not super funny, but it's very cartoonish, obviously, comic humor of just pow, that kind of stuff. It's a decent origin story, if I'm being honest.
That was a total spoiler. First page spoilage.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So we roll. We've wrecked it for everybody.
I'm so sorry. But it goes through him trying to regain his memories, and him gradually regaining them, and he ends up in a alien zoo at some point, or somebody that he's dating, I guess, or friends with, ends up in a human zoo, and I always love that. I always love seeing human zoo or species zoos and alien storylines. I don't know why, it just brings me so much joy. So yeah,
zoos, meat.
That's my general thing this week, I guess.
And I've got two more. You've got none more. Sorry about that. I messed it up.
Eh.
All right. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes on a Hell Show, Turtle Power. Continues on with the storyline that was started in Armageddon game. So just as a point of reference, if you don't know what an Armageddon game is, it's a specific setup in chess, which starts the game out clearly benefiting one of the sides, and the other side, which is behind, usually the white side board, spends the whole game trying to catch up. So it's an Armageddon game. So that's really kind of what's going on here. Shredder, get this right here. Shredder is actually tells you in the last issue, not of TMNT, but the Armageddon game, that he himself has died and come back multiple times. The current version of him is pretty chill. Chess with turtles, there you go. And so he's working with them. And this one is just a furthering of the storyline that's going to get us to real big battles going on. So really good. And my drumroll favorite book of the week is Batman Detective Comics by Rom V. So Rom V kind of started in comic books in India, is already famous there multiple years ago.
Oh, wow.
And came over to America and started quietly infiltrating our comic books. You might have noticed him first on these Savage Shores with from Vault. And then he kind of started doing other cool books. He started doing smallish titles on the DC side. They gave him JLA Dark, which was a part of JLA, or Justice League, sorry. And then they gave him Catwoman, Swamp Thing. So they've been kind of working him up to big books. I think he's finally, thank goodness, gotten up here, because for Marvel, he's already gotten onto Venom and to Carnage. So he's earned his right to be able to do this. Yeah, Savage Shores with an awesome exclusive cover from my shop, from Allison Sampson. Hunt it down. It's really good. Someday they're going to announce that it's being in development. I can't even imagine a world in which it's not. Okay. So, just trying to remember everything that I read today. So the name of the storyline is called Gotham Nocturne Overture.
That's actually really cool.
Hmm?
Sounds like the name of a band.
Oh, that's right. So, at the heart of the storyline, Bruce comes out of a specific fight, believing he's been infected with something, but then can't find anything. He actually calls in Nightwing to actually kind of like help him try to figure out stuff.
Oh, wow.
This one's really dark and gritty. I really don't want to mess anything up for you guys for this one because it's so visual.
Batman.
Very visual, very much not, it does not feel like a story that's just being thrown together and building characters just to kill them off. I don't think that's what's happening here.
What?
I'm trying to think what else I'm reading that looks dark and gritty like this. Pentagram of Horror by Marco Uzan. On today. Batman never asked for help. That's true.
Unless it's any of the Robins or Alfred.
Mm.
And other than that, never.
So, John, this is just a review show, but you will find that some of those books have been delayed for release or coming straight from Scout or from Source Point or those places and have been, they might come to your shop later than just regular Diamond orders do because they get sent them straight.
Because there was a
From the
bunch of
companies.
Image and Aftershock that I know for a fact that we'd be getting in this week, and we didn't get it in at all. So just call your LCS and see what they're getting in, because of a lot of what we should have gotten in this week, we didn't at all. So just check with them and see whatever they're getting in. Always check with your LCS. We only have so much information that we can give out because that's what we have in our shops.
But I can tell you, for my shop, I have neither of those books.
Yes.
Those are not in this week's books that arrived at our store. So
Yes.
just give you that information for what it's worth, because we get our stuff directly from Source Point and Scout. So
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a minute to skim it. Probably next week it'll be more coherent, as I've actually had sleep because I went to back-to-back conventions. One of them being San Diego Comic-Con, and before that at Comicpalooza. So really crazy amount of stuff. So
And I was fighting with Spectrum for 2 weeks, so we're both very tired.
yeah, fighting with your
Fighting with internet
Internet
2
company.
weeks. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with more reviews for you guys. You can always send me a direct message on Facebook, Jen King. If you want to have a link to all of the other shows that we do lots of things other than review shows.
Yeah.
We're happy to get you guys hooked up. Perfect. All right, Jen. Just send me a message after the show and we'll see if we can hook you up.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.